Hello, actors. It's Noel from the Actors Feedback Forum, and I just want to issue a trigger warning. I have discussed this topic many times over the years in many different internet forums, and it always causes a kerfuffle. It's a very polarizing topic, so you may feel strongly about it, and that's fine. You don't have to agree with me. I just want to put this out there. And I also want to start utilizing some of my legacy footage that I've created over the years. So I'm going to be sharing my screen and showing you a video clip I did on this some time ago that I think illustrates a lot of what I'm going to be talking about. But the topic today is the IMDbate. Is IMDb a resume for your acting work? Or is it just a website? The name of it is the Internet Movie Database.
Database.
And I like to stress that last word, database,
Database.
because that's what it is. It's a database of movie information regarding different movie and video releases. They do have parameters for what can be included in the database, but they do allow a greater range of stuff than some people might think. And I have a lot of things on my IMDb, such as infomercials and industrial projects and things of that nature. And my overarching point that I'm going to be making again and again throughout this video is, if IMDb allows you to put it up there, why not put it up there? I'll go into some of the reasons why not that are offered by other people in the industry and have been parroted on the internet forever. This is one of those apocryphal things where you hear people saying, well, I heard that, or someone told me that, or I heard in an acting class that we shouldn't, etc., etc. I heard. There's a lot of apocryphal data floating around on the internet about this, a lot of hearsay and secondhand news about it. The main question I have about IMDb that I believe debunks all of that, all of those claims of it's a resume and you shouldn't put certain things up there, is that no one has any real proof that they can show me that putting certain things on your IMDb will have a negative impact on your acting career. I've never seen any real proof or heard any real casting director feedback saying, well, I saw this on IMDb, so I didn't hire that actor. I've never heard that, ever. Maybe they did go to IMDb and they looked at it and weren't impressed and didn't hire that actor. But that could happen no matter what. That could happen because they saw your Facebook page or your TikTok, or they heard you have an OnlyFans. Who knows? You never know what kind of internet presence that you are maintaining might have that impact on someone, because we're all different human beings and we all have different tastes. And what one person might think is great, another person might find offensive. So they see you, on TikTok and you're doing TikTok type stuff, and they don't think it's appropriate for what you're doing as an actor. But in my opinion, performance is performance. And if you want to do TikTok, have a ball. So now let me show you one of the discussions that I had recently about this on an internet forum. And I'll go through it briefly and read some of it to you. The IMDbate. This is one of those prickly topics that curiously causes a kerfuffle. Should we include every other possible acting gig on our IMDb while mysteriously omitting background work because reasons? One of the largest complaints I hear from industry people and other actors is that you should never include your background work on your IMDb because IMDb is a resume and background work isn't really acting. And if you put your background work up on IMDb, you won't get hired as an actor. Oh my God. Now, I just don't believe any of that, especially since I have been listing my background work on IMDb for years, and it has never stopped me from getting hired as an actor, as far as I know. In fact, there are lots of reasons why I fully believe that we should put as much stuff up on IMDb as we possibly can. Number one reason being it's an Internet Movie Database, which means that it's a database of all your work in the film industry. If you legitimately worked on a film in any capacity, I firmly believe you should put it up on your IMDb, and we'll get into more reasons about that in a bit. In terms of these reasons that people talk about when they say you shouldn't put your background work up on IMDb, I've asked what they are. And some people have come back with, you don't want to be seen as just a background actor. And that word just is used a lot when people refer to background acting. Just a background actor, as if that's not good enough, being a background actor. And as I mentioned, I'm not sure why being a background actor is such a horrible thing. I think it's great. I can proudly display my stand-in work, my voiceover work, my photo double work, my crew work, my spokesperson work, my announcer work, and if I was a motion capture artist, I could display that on IMDb. If I was a theater person and I did recorded theater, I could display that on my IMDb. But for some reason, that one particular aspect of the acting business should never be included, background acting. If background actors are not supposed to be tracked in the biggest movie database on the planet, where the heck are they allowed? Is there an internet movie background database? If someone looks at my IMDb, they will see all sorts of film production work, including principal roles. A smart industry person should certainly be able to determine at quick glance that I am not just a background actor. Besides, I'm proud of some of the BG work I've done. It's been fantastic, and it was an incredible learning experience, and I got to work on major productions and huge blockbuster films and massively successful television series, which I never would have been able to do otherwise. So getting on those sets and being around all of those professionals and watching all those A-list actors doing their jobs was immensely beneficial to my acting career from an educational standpoint alone, but also just for the experience of it. Some of my very best memories about this whole thing have been my background acting roles. So it's clear that I'm proud of a lot of that work, and I think that some of those projects were really amazing, and I want them listed in the database that tracks that info. It just makes perfect sense to me. Why wouldn't I put them in the Internet Movie Database? I was in a movie. Come on now. If your goal is to be a speaking principal actor, then it wouldn't make sense to put background acting on your resume. Now that is another crazy reason for not putting your stuff up on IMDb. And I hear it a lot, and I just don't understand it. Once and for all, can we agree the Internet Movie Database is a website on the interwebs? It's not a resume. It's not a resume. Your resume should be a very specific thing that you cultivate the way you see fit per your own personal choices, and you give it out to the people that you want to give it to when they're looking for someone to hire as an actor. IMDb is a website available to the entire world, not only to view, but also to edit. So people can put stuff up on IMDb about you as an actor, and you may not be able to take that off of there because it's a database. And if it's legitimate information, IMDb is going to say, hey, well, it's real, so we're not taking it down just because you're asking me to. So it's not a resume. IMDb's prime function is, as its name indicates, to be an internet movie database. We're not discussing resumes, so telling someone they shouldn't put their background actor work up on IMDb because you shouldn't put on your resume is apples and oranges. My goal is to be an actor. I'm not too fussy about what type of acting job I get. I love it all. So any on-set experience should be useful info for a prospective employer. If my stand-in work is good to demonstrate my film production experience, then so is my BG work. Stand-ins usually double duty as background actors anyway. And in fact, stand-ins are not technically actors. They're technically a part of the camera crew. They stand in for the main characters, for the lead actors, for the A-list actors, and they stand there on set so that the crew can light them. So stand-ins have to look a little bit like the actor that they're standing in for. They have to be about the same physical shape and size so that the crew can light them appropriately, so that when the A-list actor takes their place, they're already lit and ready to go. Stand-in is a very cool job. You get to hang out with the A-list actor and shadow them all day on set, and you learn so much. But that's okay to put up on my IMDb, but I can't mention the background acting I was doing, which is essentially the same job with only minor differences. Another reason that's offered for why we shouldn't put background acting work up on our IMDb page is BG work is not really acting and therefore does not belong on your IMDb. Who says so? I mean, number one, who says it's not really acting? Number two, who says it doesn't belong on my IMDb? Who makes those rules? Nobody told me. Is there an IMDb police force? I've never heard of one. First of all, it most certainly is acting. Number one, their own union, your own union, our own union, SAG-AFTRA, insists that it is acting. Otherwise, they would not officially refer to the largest percentage of their membership as background actors. And they made that official some years ago. They didn't want people calling them extras or living props or moving furniture. They wanted them to be called background actors. And if they weren't background actors, they wouldn't be allowed into the Screen Actors Guild. So if the union that represents you and all of your fellow actors says that background actors are indeed actors, then they're actors. There's no way about it, no way around that fact. That's what they are, that's their job. And if they are actors, then the job that they do is called acting. So that argument has no weight whatsoever, holds no water. And more importantly, it creates a harmful divide between principal actors and background actors. And there should be no division amongst actors. We're all trying to do the same job on the same sets, working closely together on camera to create a story. And there should be no division just because one actor's at a more beginner level than the other actor. That's crazy. There's a huge range of experience and professionalism on any film set, both in the crew and the actors. And there's absolutely no reason for any dividing line between them in terms of what is and what is not acting. It's the silliest thing I've ever heard of in my life. And professional adults are propagating this nonsense. A professional industry, a multi-trillion-dollar global industry, is perpetuating this silliness. To me, it's crazy. The bottom line is this: there are many kinds of acting, and background acting is definitely one of them. Think about it. There's principal acting, supporting acting, character acting, stand-up, mocap, stunts, body double, voiceover, stage acting, commercial acting, spokesperson, host, announcer, background acting. We're all actors. We're doing the job of acting professionally. So I don't know why that argument persists. One of the other comebacks I get from people who try to argue this silliness is, no one is saying IMDb is only for speaking principal roles. Well, yes, they are. They certainly are. If they keep advising young, inexperienced actors who are impressionable that background acting is not really acting and it shouldn't go on their resume and shouldn't go up on their IMDb page, they are propagating that mythos that background acting is not really acting. You're not good enough because you don't have speaking lines. You're not really an actor. You're just moving furniture. There's too much of that division on film sets, even amongst the actors who are largely doing background work. And I've had this experience too many times to count, where I was on set with SAG actors, members of the union, who were doing background work. Because for SAG members, it can be quite lucrative. So they do it for the money. And I've heard them complain and grumble about it, that, it's not real acting, they just do it for the money. The bottom line is the vast majority of actors working today are background actors by a great percentage. And all of these principal actors that say they're doing it only for the money, well, they're doing it the majority of the time. As I mentioned, I've been including background acting roles on my IMDb page for years now. And all it has done is help me. The pros who booked me for speaking roles never once said, I almost didn't book you because I saw you had background acting listed on your IMDb page. The fact is, most of the pros that I've worked with, they don't even look at IMDb. So I don't know why it has gained this reputation as the arbiter of what is and what is not acting. That's just nonsense to me. So what are the legitimate reasons for excluding just one specific type of production work from my IMDb? Just one. Background acting is the only one I can't mention. Why? Does anyone have any actual negative experience where an industry person specifically stated that despite your amazing audition, actor friend, we just can't book you because you listed some BG work on your IMDb? Oh! That seems to be the big boogeyman that we are warned about, but I honestly doubt it has ever happened. Or if it did happen, do you really want to work with that person? The point I'm stressing, which seems to keep getting lost in all of this curious hoopla over BG work and whether or not it is actual acting, is that IMDb is a database, as I keep saying, and it serves up its data to thousands of other websites. So my BG work, my crew work, and yes, of course, my principal work, all of my bona fide film production work listed on that site has created an undeniably strong internet presence for me. So much so that Google recognizes me and has given me my own knowledge panel, which I have since taken ownership of. If you're not familiar with what a knowledge panel is, you should look into it because every actor should try to get one. The bottom line to gaining a knowledge panel through Google is being present on the internet, showing up in a lot of searches. When you start popping up in searches again and again and again to such a level that Google finds that significant, they automatically create you a knowledge panel, which pops up on the page with just you front and center. You're spotlighted by Google. That's an incredible thing. And if you gain ownership of that knowledge panel, you will be the one and only person on the planet out of billions of other people to have that little bit of Google real estate. So as I mentioned earlier, I'll get into some of the reasons that I strongly believe that putting all kinds of stuff up on your IMDb is a good idea, including background acting roles. IMDb is first and foremost a database.
Database.
There, I said it again. As such, it serves up its data to thousands of other websites using what's known as an API. If you're a little bit techie geeky like me, you know that an API is a website protocol that serves up information to other web pages. So, for example, Amazon can ask IMDb if they can access their API and pull that data off of IMDb to populate their Amazon pages. So all of the stuff that you put up on your page is going to get sucked out of IMDb and it's going to get plopped into that other company's website. And you're going to gain even more presence on the internet. If you have a healthy amount of data on IMDb, no matter what sort of info it is, including background acting, the more sites will be interested in pulling your info into their pages. They're not going to pull you into their pages if you have one thing in your IMDb. The more data you put on IMDb, the better your Starmeter rank will go. And you guessed it, more sites will be interested in pulling your info into their pages. I appeared on a lot of websites across the internet simply because my Starmeter rank was high enough and I made the cut and showed up in the cast list. So I got included in the data that was pulled into that particular website, way above and ahead of many of the other actors on that project, simply because my Starmeter rank was higher. And my Starmeter rank was higher because I have more stuff up on my IMDb page. The more sites you appear on, the more interested in you Google will become, as I mentioned earlier, and they will create a knowledge panel for you. And trust me when I say that knowledge panel is sweet, sweet gold. You have to get yourself one if you can. All this exposure on the web can only help you get more roles, because here's one thing I do know for a fact. Casting people do Google you. There are many occasions when somebody in the industry may plug you into Google to see what pops up. And if you do what I'm telling you, you're going to pop up like crazy. I'm going to prove that by showing you that video I mentioned earlier. I'm about to show you a video I did some years ago about this whole subject. And what I did was work through the internet with a simple search, Noel Ramos movies, to illustrate just how many times I pop up in Google searches because of the information available through my IMDb webpage. I can guarantee you I would never have achieved such a high rate of results on Google if it weren't for the information that I put up on IMDb. It's made apparently clear when you can see that all of the results we're going to look at pulled that information right off of IMDb. I'd like to talk about Internet Movie Database, IMDb.com, because I've heard this discussion or read this discussion on many forums since the beginning of my efforts to get into the film industry. People have been talking about IMDb like it's some kind of an official arbiter of what is and what is not acting. Like, I don't know where that comes from. What does IMDb as a website have to do with determining what is and is not official acting? And I'm using air quotes. I wish you could see me. It's not what they claim to be. It's called the Internet Movie Database. And that's exactly what it is. It's a database. And as such, its job is to compile data about the movie industry. And the most important reason that I feel that actors should not be stressing about what they should and shouldn't put on their IMDb is that last part of the name, database. What IMDb is doing for you is compiling and presenting this data for the world to utilize. And the simplest way to prove this to yourself is to go into Google and type in your actor name and then put the word movies after it, like I've done here. I put in Noel Ramos movies. The results that pop up might shock you. You'll find yourself listed on all sorts of websites that you knew nothing about, and you have IMDb to thank for it. Let me just pause it here and stress that all I did was type in Noel Ramos and add the word movies and search through Google and look at all of these incredibly cool graphic images that popped up immediately at the top of the page showing all of the film projects I worked on. Now, many of these were background acting roles, but so what? Doesn't that look amazing? Now that is some cool stuff. Those graphics are awesome. They work hard on those posters. And being able to show that I worked on those projects, that's, to me, is incredibly valuable. And to have it show up in a Google search, a simple Google search at that, my name and the word movies, and look at what comes up. Now there are millions of other Noel Ramoses in the world, right? I mean, it's not that unusual a name, but I'm the one who pops up at the top with all of these movies there. Why? Because I entered them into my Internet Movie Database. The very first result that comes up, imdb.com. And that's where Google is getting all of this data. And they've populated a knowledge panel for me, which is, people are talking about these nowadays, you know, how do I get a knowledge panel? You get a knowledge panel by being all over the internet. And one of the best ways to get yourself all over the internet is to put as much information up on IMDb as you possibly can. Stop stressing about whether you should or shouldn't do it. Just do it. You know, if you worked on the film, then you have a right to place that data on IMDb. IMDb is going to make a determination anyway as to whether or not they want it in their database. So it's not like if they absolutely refuse, you can put the stuff up there anyhow. So if you're being allowed to put it there by IMDb, then put it there. Because then they are making it available for the rest of the world to utilize, and you're going to show up all over the internet. That's going to increase your visibility online, and that's the number one thing we're trying to do, isn't it? Increase our visibility online. Stand up and above all the rest in the search results. I'm just going to scroll here real quick for you. I've checked out a lot of these links. It's kind of cool, actually. Look at how many places I'm showing up. And all of these websites, RogerEbert.com, TVGuide.com, Real Good, Binged. Here's the API itself. That's where they're getting this data from the IMDb API. And I'll click the next thing here. And look, still showing my stuff. BFlix, MovieFit, MovieTimes.com, ShotOnWhat.com, DVDTrailers.gr, Flickstore. This one, Flickstore, they're actually showing the films. I actually watched a couple of the movies that I'm listed as being in on this Flickstore. Now, I don't know if that's legal or not, but they're there. And Clotrudis Archives, 123movie.show. I'll click the third one, see if there's more. Movies, TV. Look at this, Amazon. This is the cool thing that I put a screenshot up on my profile about, because the Amazon. Here, I'll click to it real quick. Open it up in a new window and bring it in here. Look at this, how cool this is. This is all coming from IMDb, and you got to admit this is pretty sweet looking. And then you can go and watch the movie if you want on Amazon Prime. So here's my filmography. They're putting all of these really cool screenshots of the film's um, little icon. This is so cool. And the only reason this is happening is because I've populated my IMDb with as much data as I possibly can. And so I'm visible. So I just want to pause the video and stress what I just said in the video. The only reason that Amazon has seen fit to create this page on my behalf, this little fledgling actor guy, is because I have populated my IMDb with enough information to make me interesting to them, to make me worth putting on their website like this and spending a considerable amount of their resources to create this really killer page with the images of all the films I've worked on. I think this is a fantastic thing. I think it's fantastic. And obviously, this isn't the only website we just heard about. There's so many other third-party websites that pull this information into their pages and do cool stuff like this. And this will happen to you as an actor if you do as I say and put as much stuff up on that IMDb as you can. I mean, if you worked on 70 projects, put every last one of them up there. Don't limit it to the 20 where you had a line or two. Or worst case scenario, if you only have a few movies where you had a line and the bulk of them you didn't have a speaking role, then what are you going to have? An IMDb page with 3 movies listed? That's not going to get you a blip on the Google radar. So stop thinking about IMDb as a resume and start thinking about it as a database, which is what it is, and think about all of that data getting pulled into cool web pages like this. If I haven't convinced you yet, let's continue. And therefore, Amazon is bothering to do this. I'm not paying them to do this. I didn't even know they were doing this. They're doing it because I'm visible on the web. So let me get rid of this one and go back to the other one and keep scrolling. More and more and more. Look at all of this stuff. I mean, it just keeps going on and on. Open load movies. 1, 2, 3 movies. Here's pictures of me. Let's go to number 4. Look at this. It's endless. Clip.cafe, oflix.com, Kodi apps. Let's open that one. I haven't seen this one before. Roommate Wanted, Socialite, Already Gone Crypto, November Criminals, Bread Factory. Sweet. I mean, I don't know what this website is, but it's showing up. And they're getting this info from IMDb. As I was saying, if you don't happen to have, an unusual name, then you're going to show up in the mix with a lot of other people that also have your name. Like here's Ramos Quintero Jesus Noel. And, oh, look at this. Tamil Deluxe. I'll bet you this is that movie that we did in Tamil. Let me see if it is. That would be cool. No, it's not. It's already gone. That's interesting. I thought it was going to be Deadly View. I want to pause and discuss Already Gone for a moment because it's just one iconic example of the kind of background acting role that I feel strongly deserves to be listed on my IMDb. That was a film produced by Keanu Reeves, and I think that alone makes it pretty extraordinary. But the role that I got to perform in that was that of a family member at a picnic, which was a very pivotal scene in the movie. And I was front and center in that shot, just me, right in the frame. I mean, big and bold, right up front, as they panned past me.
I know, so your head looks thank you. I'm feeling that.
So I thought that was amazing because background actors don't usually get featured up front like that. And for me to be the only one on the screen for that blip was pretty impressive. And I think it certainly deserves to be included on my IMDb page. Would I put it on my resume? Maybe not, but that's my choice. But as far as IMDb goes, it's not a resume, it's a web page, it's a database. And that cool bit of me being front and center in that Keanu Reeves produced film, I'm putting it up on my IMDb page. And the fact that I did got me listed on this other website. Flix Catalog, what's this? Wow. What is all of this? Interesting. This is, now look at this. This is coming from IMDb. They have pulled my bio. Now that's kind of cool. I mean, I don't know what this website is, but there's my bio. So I'm going to pause again and just back it up for a tiny scooch. Because right here at the bottom of this page, after the bio, it says specifically IMDb mini biography from website, which clearly proves that this got pulled directly from my IMDb page. My bio got pulled into this other website. More Google search results, more online presence. Thanks to IMDb. So I'm telling you, just populate that IMDb with as much stuff as you can, and you're going to show up all over the web, and this is going to allow you to come up, more prevalently in search results and have a bigger presence on the internet, and it's going to cause Google to create that knowledge panel for you like this. See that? So let's take a little bit of a pause here and talk about the knowledge panel a bit more, and let me show it to you close up. So let's just zoom in for a second here and look up close at the knowledge panel that I have earned by showing up so many times in search results on Google. This pops up on the Google page to the right-hand side when you search on someone with the name of that corresponds to that knowledge panel, which means that I am the only Noel Ramos who's going to show up with a knowledge panel. There's the one and the only, and I'm the guy who got it. Are there billions of other Noel Ramoses on the planet? Possibly. There's a whole heck of a lot of them, I can guarantee that. But they don't have that knowledge panel. I'm the only one who does. Once I began popping up in a lot of Google searches, they gave me the opportunity to claim this knowledge panel, which you can see down here at the bottom, a little button. I pushed it. I was in contact with Google. We went back and forth a little bit. I proved who I was. They gave me possession of the knowledge panel. That then allowed me to edit the knowledge panel and add things to it that I specifically wanted to show, such as my website and my profile on Facebook. So being able to have that direct link to me sitting there on the side of the page as the person scrolls through and looks at the results from their Google search, I can't even describe how powerful that is. And again, let me stress, I'm the only Noel Ramos who owns a knowledge panel for Noel Ramos. Moi. On the entire face of this earth. I don't know what else I need to do to sell you on the idea that you should use the Internet Movie Database as a database. And you'll get imagery coming up. Look at this, images for Noel Ramos movies, and there's all. Let's view all. And look at how many times I show up in this. Now, there's lots of other Noel Ramoses out there, Noel Ramoses, but I'm prevalent. So I'll just pause one more quick bit here because it might not be as obvious as I think it is, because I know which one of these are mine, and you may not. But let me just count for you. So this is me, this is me, this is me, this is me. So there's 4. That's me. 5, 6, 7, 8, because that's this old house, and I'm not in this photo, but I worked on that, and it says Noel Ramos below it. So it's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 of these images are me. Top and center in the Google results, 22 of them. And it just continues on from here. Prevalent. I'm showing above and beyond the noise. I'm rising up above all the noise on the web. And all my movies are showing up. All my pictures are showing up. These are all from IMDb. So I think I've made my point. Just don't worry about whether you should or shouldn't do it. Just put the stuff up on IMDb. If IMDb allows it, put it up there. And you're going to improve your presence on the internet. And that's worth whatever you're paying for IMDb Pro or whatever. So just do it. So listen to that guy. And just do it. Put the stuff up on IMDb. Don't worry about whether or not you should be listing your background acting roles or whatever. If IMDb allows you to put it up there, put it up there, because then it's going to get pulled out of IMDb and added to other websites around the internet. And Google's going to pick up on that, and they're going to give you that sweet, sweet knowledge panel. And they're going to show you top center in the results when people search on a name that many millions of people might have, including you. But you're the one who's going to pop up in those results. So that's how I think we should be looking at IMDb. If we're smart actors, we should be looking at IMDb as a website that provides a database service to the rest of the world, not as a resume. I don't think it was ever intended to be a resume. I don't know anyone who uses it as their official resume. I don't even know any industry people who think of it as the primary resume for an actor. They're looking for the actor's specific personal resume when they ask for a resume. They're not looking for an IMDb website link. So I'm not sure where all of that stuff came from or why it continues to be propagated around, but I think we need to think outside the box once again. As I've mentioned in other videos, there is no box. Especially when we're first starting out in our acting career, we can't afford to limit ourselves. We can't be limited by convention or by things that I heard or stuff I read on the internet. So-and-so said that so-and-so said that so-and-so said. No. Just follow your gut. You know it's a database. It's right in the name. And you know what it does. It provides data to other websites. And you know what that means. You'll show up in Google results. All right, actors, I hope this has been useful to you and it wasn't too much of a trigger warning. I will see you guys in the next video, and remember, until then, keep doing the work. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to the channel. And remember, if you want to join a bunch of your fellow actors who are serious and dedicated and will motivate you to keep doing the work, please visit actorsfeedbackforum.com. Link in the description. See you next video.